views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to Countyline, the public access TV program that features news and information about county government. Coming to you this time from the Fort Wayne Allen County Health Department's Medical Annex on New Haven Avenue. It was 2 years ago that the Health Department moved into this facility and began providing many of its medical and clinical services to the general public. But what about the next 10 to 20 years? What kind of services will the health department be providing, and how will they deliver those services to the public? Well, that's the focus of a study that's about to begin involving Allen County and several surrounding counties here in Northeast Indiana. We had the chance to talk about that study with Administrator for the Allen County Health Department, Mindy Waldron. Mindy, first of all, thanks for taking time to be with us and talk a little bit about this. I don't know if you would call it a study, or it's certainly a collaborative effort among the counties here in Northeast Indiana to look at the future of health delivery services. What brought this about?
Well, you know, a number of things. We're all very short in resources over the last few years, and that has led to discussions about, how could we deliver services or collaborate better? And in the midst of that, you have this new concept of accreditation for local health departments coming out nationally. And that is to begin taking place, or you can apply anyway, in 2013. And so the thought has been lately, how might we go through those steps that are required to even apply for accreditation together, share our strengths and weaknesses, where are our gaps and are they similar, and could we develop, strategic ways of not only the planning part, but all the while, are there things that maybe we could partner on and deliver better services to all of our constituents in all of those counties?
Besides Allen County, what other counties have expressed an interest in this?
Well, there's what's called districts in Indiana, and they're broken out for preparedness and other delivery services purposes. But District 3 is the district that Allen County's in, and most of the surrounding counties around us are in that, as well as some further northern counties. Now, not every county in District 3 did choose to participate. It was a voluntary thing. So I think there's about 8 county health departments that are participating in this year-long deal.
And we're talking about Allen, probably in the several surrounding counties to us?
Yes, Allen, surrounding, and then some counties north of Allen County.
Now, I know in other states they have established what are called district health departments, which help oversee health departments in each county. From what I understand, that's not the model you're necessarily looking to adopt, but you're looking at the same kind of concept in terms of sharing and ideas and talking about, as you said, ways to better provide health services in an area. Is that right?
Right. It's not being approached as a way to combine health departments or develop regional or district health departments for Indiana. We're set up very differently. However, the concept is similar and is being, at least explored in terms of how do we share across those lines so that we deliver consistent services. For example, in food inspection, a restaurant in Allen County and a restaurant in Wells County should be inspected similarly, and they should be able to expect that. So how do we achieve that, though, in terms of interpretation? So looking at those things, resource delivery, where are our gaps? What are the standards? Is every health department doing the same thing, or are they not? And we clearly know they're not. So it's an attempt to look at how we deliver what we deliver, and is there a better way of doing that in the 21st century? Not necessarily physically combining, but conceptually and maybe contractually down the line, is there a way of delivering services better? And again, our first achievement, we hope, is to develop a strategic plan for this district collaboratively through the gap analysis process, and we hope to do that within the next 3 to 4 months.
So something, I guess, kind of similar to what, for instance, Allen County is doing, Allen County government is doing with its strategic planning effort. It's a way to look several years down the road as to what you're going to look like in essence.
And that's exactly right. Kind of the analogy there would be the county spearheads that strategic planning process, and you develop your general issues that you want to address. How that looks in each of the departments individually is different. And so I think that's a really good comparison of what we're hoping to do here is develop some of those concepts, the baselines, and then how that's actually achieved per health department of us 8 might be slightly different. But in general, we're working toward consistency. So I think it's just like that from the concept standpoint.
And pretty much all areas of health services are going to be looked at?
Yes, there are what's called the 10 essential public health services that the CDC has and promotes, and that's where our services should be based. Over the years, it hasn't always been that. It's been what was the urgent issue at the time, what would your resources allow, what did your county want you to serve. Here, to become accredited, you have to be able to achieve everything within those 10 essential public health services, and they're quite diverse. So for us, we have environmental health, we have general medical care that we provide, and then we have some of what we would consider the safety net services that we provide to the low-income folks or folks without a medical home. So we're looking at all of that, and I don't want to leave out vital records and some of those other things that we do as well. All of public health needs to be delivered consistently and within those 10 sets, of programs. And so it's looking at that, identifying where your weaknesses are, your needs, and then writing your strategic plan to help even you out over the next few years.
Any idea how long this process is expected to take?
Approximately a year. The first step is the strategic planning and gap analysis part, which we're engaged in right now, and that is to take place over the next 3 to 4 months. The next step is we have to engage in training, and that's for all staff, a variety of them, in green and yellow belt training, so that we look at Six Sigma and becoming more efficient, all of those. And then after that, we have a lot of other training, management training, policy development, SOPs, those kinds of things. And it looks like it's about 9 months to a year. And all the while, behind the scenes, each county has to conduct a community health assessment, which means looking at all of the healthcare delivery in their area. Those are quite costly and usually take a year in and of themselves. Both of these things have to occur somewhat simultaneously if we want to make the deadline of 2013.
Without knocking the smaller counties around us, I think one could take a look at this and assume, well, they have a lot that they could probably learn from Allen County simply because we're a larger county in terms of population, in terms of size, have a lot more services that have to be delivered, and have worked on this for quite some time in terms of getting it done. So conversely, what do you think Allen County can get out of this in collaborating with these smaller counties?
Well, to properly serve your constituents, whether it's in your county or in your state, you need to look at the big picture. And the big picture needs to be about moving the needle toward better public health, or in general, just better health, because that leads to better economic development. And we need to work together. And so I think while they may hear how we do certain things, we still learn how they do them too. And it's a very valid process. We've learned how we don't always have to look at the big picture. Sometimes we need to be more detailed and learn something that they've done. And what we all have to keep in mind is that we all need to provide the same services. We may be larger in size, but there is a ratio where we're very similar in terms of what we can provide to our folks, depending on when resources are cut. I think the big thing here with this project and others similar to it is that you get people talking and sharing ideas, and best practices should be the goal here. And we're learning from them as much as probably they're learning from us, or at least I hope that. It opens those discussions, and you work toward an aha moment.
Is this something you would anticipate being sustained over a period of time? In other words, you would come back maybe 2 or 3 years later and look at this again and discuss the situation again? Is this going to be an ongoing thing?
That's my understanding, and I think we're a pilot. This hasn't been done before, especially not in Indiana or in this area of the United States. So we're piloting to see how well it goes. And once we achieve the ability to apply for accreditation, I think we need to see how that shakes out. But our goal, at least here locally, is to replace this strategic plan that we're working on now with our internal one, or at least least mesh them. So we're not recreating the wheel, number one, and that we get them on the same timetable for review, which for us is every 3 years. So I do foresee, no matter what the outcome is, I hope it's a collaborative review in 3 years, which I'm assuming it will be, but I won't guarantee it. And then once that's done, no matter what, Allen County for sure would review that. That is what we do.
Well, Mindy, we look forward to hearing more about this and seeing what comes out of it. And
We're excited too, and thanks for asking about it.
okay. Thank you very much. Well, continuing on the topic of planning ahead for the future in our community, we want to talk to you a little bit about an organization that's formed in Allen County that's looking ahead in the event of a disaster, not only how to handle the event, but also what happens in the recovery phase of a disaster. The group is called the Allen County COAD. That stands for Community Organizations Active in Disaster. Becky Weimerskirch is with Community Transportation Network. She is the chair of the Allen County COAD, and also with us is Tiffany Bailey. She's with the United Way 211, one of the organizations that's active in this organization. And Becky, let's start with you first. COAD's been here now for, I guess, a little over a year or so, but we haven't heard much about it. Tell us the purpose of the organization and how it got formed.
Well, it was convened primarily through United Way, particularly to look at organizations that you don't typically think of in terms of disaster, trying to organize the whole community effort to enhance what first responders have in the way of just responding to a disaster, but there's also the whole issue of the short-term and long-term recovery, and how do the churches and how do the nonprofits, and particularly nonprofits that deal with certain populations, various issues. Let me give you, for instance, certainly those who have special needs have, and may be very isolated, to be able to find them in the wreckage of a disaster, and where do we take them? Those kinds of issues. How do we communicate to all of the populations in Fort Wayne that do not speak English? Those are some of the enhanced capabilities that a lot of our organizations have, but we haven't been organized with Homeland Security to know what are those resources, how do we tap into them, and how do we do it efficiently. One of the issues we discussed in a recent meeting was just the influx of a lot of different volunteers and donations that might come to a community because of a major disaster. How do we handle that? Who are the fiscal agents? And we've seen from some of the disasters that have played out on TV that certainly having some organizations ready to step up and be able to handle some of the things help mitigate the effects of it on all of the citizens. So that's why we're here.
Tiffany, United Way, as she mentioned, was instrumental in getting this COAD formed. You have a lot of different organizations, a lot of diversity. Kind of let folks know who's involved in this organization and why that diversity is so important.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of organizations involved, as you mentioned. We have a lot of the ones you would traditionally consider in a disaster: American Red Cross, Salvation Army, some of the transportation systems. In addition to that, we have some of the faith-based community is getting involved, and some of the nonprofits. Emergency response has been, I think, very well represented. We've had fire and police and even the state police coming to these meetings as well. Hospital systems. You know, I think where we still need some more help, though, is we still know that there is a large group of faith-based and religious organizations that's still in our community that's providing some tremendous services. And how can we get them more involved, and what are other nonprofits out there that we might be able to get more involved? The nonprofits and the faith-based, certainly everybody is serving and coming to this community and has a passion for the community and the populations that they may target with their specific services. And so, you know, how do we get that passion involved when it comes to recovering our community after a disaster.
And you're also looking at the private sector as well, if they want to become involved in some form or fashion.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know there's going to be materials to clean up and to rebuild the community. And so what are some of those things that a private sector, a business, or a local company, again, that's got that passion and that commitment to the community, that they might be able to provide anything in a disaster, and to rebuild the community and make it back to the greatness it was prior to the disaster.
Now, Becky, the COAD has been kind of quiet in the background here for the last year or so, but things are getting ready to ramp up because you're going to be getting some grant money that's going to help you get the word out more about the COAD. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we certainly hope to get that money here in Allen County. We want to kind of take an assessment of what are the resources that are at our fingertips. And get particularly some of us who are in the nonprofit sector to think in terms of a community response when that's not our core mission, but that we'd certainly probably have to get involved with because of the populations we serve or the resources that we have. So that'll be one of the efforts, and getting out more training to the entire community about these are things you need to think about. These are things that the community will need in the response of a disaster. And we're talking about all sorts of different scenarios, so that makes it quite a challenge.
And we should mention that Allen County is one of the few counties in Indiana, I believe, that has a COAD organized.
Yes, Marion County and Allen County are the two primary ones. There may be a couple of others. And we also recognize that we're the hub of the entire region. And because we have so many resources focused right here in Fort Wayne, we want to get that under our belt because that has an impact then for responses to other outlying counties, as well as recognizing that we hope they come to our assistance.
What do you think, Tiffany, is going to be the biggest service that a COAD like this can provide to the community?
Well, I think, one, I want to say, too, that I think having the support of city, county government, and the Office of Homeland Security has been instrumental in bringing everybody to the table as well. I think the largest thing with the ongoing support and the largest impact the COAD can have is that kind of coordinating disaster resources that are going to be available in the community, whether that is directing individuals to mass shelters that the American Red Cross has set up, or to food, or to cleanup kits or whatever, but really organizing disaster resources, communicating to the community and to those emergency response agencies where those resources are located, but providing ultimately support to what is going on the initial disaster response by our law enforcement and by our fire departments as well.
As Becky mentioned, we've seen enough occasions where organizations like a COAD are needed. We hope we never have to have it, but it's good to know that such an organization's in place.
I want to add that we can't sit back and have the attitude that if something happens, that the federal government comes in and makes us whole. We've seen instances where no, it has to be the response and the responsibility of the local community to pick itself up. The responses from others throughout the nation that want to help are certainly instrumental in helping us get back on our feet. But, we've got resources right here, and, we just need to know that they exist and connect and be ready.
Get the help out there faster and more efficiently to those who are needing it. Well, Becky and Tiffany, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to hearing more about the COAD in the coming months. For several years now, property owners in Allen County have had the convenience and ease of paying their property taxes electronically. We're going to give you an update on the system that's in place, some significant changes that are taking place in that system and how well things have been working. And with us is Bill Royce. He's the Deputy Allen County Treasurer and kind of the architect of all this, so to speak. Bill, thanks for taking time to join us.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk a little bit, first of all, about how well the system has been working over the past several years.
Yeah, it has been working terrific. It is really a convenience. we don't like to pay our taxes. Nobody does. I don't like paying my taxes. However, if our office can make it more convenient, that's helpful. It saves postage. You don't have to stand in line. Your payments are made on time. It is very helpful. If you travel, if you're out of the country, don't worry about it. It's taking care of your payments.
It's also a cost saver from the Treasurer's Office standpoint as well.
Oh, absolutely. We don't have to pay to handle the paper. That is very expensive to process that, to scan checks, to file those things, to hold them, to send them to the bank through their lockbox process. This is a money saver. It's a way that taxpayers can help lower their taxes, less we have to spend.
Okay, how do you go about setting up the ability to pay electronically?
It's very simple. All you need is a computer. You could use a public access computer, a library computer, or if you submit the paperwork, we will even set it up for you if you don't have a computer. But you would simply go to www.allencountytreasurer.us and click on tax payment options. And that will take you to the tax payment site.
What kind of information are you going to have kind of at your fingertips or at the ready to put in at the start?
Best practice when you get started is to have your tax bill sitting in front of you if you have one. If you don't and there's questions you can't answer, just call our office. We'll be glad to guide you through it.
Okay. Now, as we mentioned recently, you've made some significant changes, I'm sure to help improve the system.
Yes.
and to make it easier for folks, but we wanted to let people see what some of those changes are, demonstrate to you what steps you'll have to take in order to make this work properly. So, Bill, we're going to have you kind of take us through that right now, okay?
Great, because we offer actually 3 plans.
Okay.
Single electronic, which is a payment that day, a monthly pay plan, and a spring fall, and we'll look at all 3. They're all in one system.
Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, Bill, let's start out, first of all, demonstrate for us a single electronic payment.
Thank you. Yes, single electronic payment is the payment that I want to pay my taxes that day. And I choose the amount, I choose the property that I'm going to pay on. And it's very simple. You don't need a username or a password for this one. Anyone can use this. You could just go in and say, I don't want to stand in line down in the office. I'm going to pay right here on my computer. So you go in, the first thing it asks for is your duplicate or parcel number. These are both found on your tax bill. Once again, if you don't have a tax bill, you don't know what these are, call our office. We'll be happy to provide this. And so I'm going to go ahead and put in a duplicate number for a property that I'm familiar with, which is my own.
Okay.
And I tab. The first thing it does is it tells me, is this the property you want to pay on? I look at the address and say, sure enough, that's the one.
Okay.
The amount, I would just put in the amount that I want to pay, and I'm going to follow the fields through. Very simple, first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip. Give us a valid email address because we're going to send a confirmation, and a phone number. If there's any questions, we can get a hold of you. Why would somebody have questions? We had somebody who wanted to pay $1,000, put the decimal point in the wrong place, put in $10,000. We called them and said, did you really want to pay? Oh, heavens no.
And that's also important when it says up here, double check your entries.
Yes, yes. And one of the nice things too is if you do make a mistake and you hit that submit button, call us immediately. We can actually go and look at this and edit it. And do a change for you. You don't have to re-enter everything. We can get your information correct.
Okay.
So you do those things. You're going to select a payment method, which is electronic check, meaning it's just going to come directly out of your financial institution. You would put in your bank, whether it's a checking or savings account, if this is an individual or a business. At the bottom of your check, you have your routing number and account number, and you make sure you use the routing number on the bottom of your check, not your deposit slip. Those are different things. You'll put in the routing number, the account number, hit submit, you're done.
Okay, well that was pretty easy. Okay, then let's go back, if we can, to the original screen and talk to us about the other options involved, spring, fall, or monthly payments.
Okay, again, we have 2 different plans here, and we'll look at both of them and see how they differ, how they help us. For this one, you're going to it's going to ask you to create a username and a password. Now, I've already created that. The username can be anything you want it to be. Put in a password, your email. It's going to send you a confirmation email and make sure that we have it correct. You'll hit the link and it'll say you are now confirmed. You can log in. I've already logged in. When you come in, the first thing that it's going to want you to do is it's going to ask you to put in some account information.
Okay.
Your name, address, phone number, your email address. You can change this at any time. You can change your password in the future. So you have a lot of control on this. Okay, we're going to add a property. So I click taxpayer property, and you would go here and you'd select one. As you see, I've already selected my property.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm going to take that out of there, just so. And you see, I have a lot of control here. I'm going to add a property, and I can search in a couple different ways: last name, address, duplicate number. Again, I'll go back to my duplicate number, and I hit search, and it brings up my property and says, "Is this really?" I sure do. I'm going to select that one. Okay, the very next screen, this is an authorization form. This is a payment agreement between you and the treasurer. Basically, it authorizes us to draw funds from your account. We would never do that without your permission, and this allows us to do that. You can print this, of course, you want to read it, and then you'll click authorize. All right, I've authorized that this property is the one I'm going to pay on. Again, my payment method, electronic check.
Important to note, electronic check right now is the only option involved,
Yes.
not credit cards, debit cards, or anything like that.
Correct. There are other counties that use this system, and they offer credit card through the monthly pay plan. We offer credit card, but totally different area.
Okay.
And we have that on our website. You can pay by credit card. Oh, one thing I do want to bring up, very important. This is all free. There is no service charge, no cost to you, the taxpayer, to use this.
No convenience charge like some places.
Credit card does
charge.
have a convenience charge.
Right.
This does not.
Okay.
All right. Again, I would put in my bank, my routing number, my account number. Where do I find a routing number? If I click on the little question marks, it will show me help me to find that. And then I select my payment plan. Remember, I talked about we have two of them, and I'm going to go to spring fall first. And it tells us your payments will automatically be processed on May 10th and November 10th, the tax due days. Now it says November 10th. Actually, this coming year, because of the way the holidays fall, taxes are going to be due November 13th. But 10 days prior to taking money out of your account, we will send a reminder and say, tax due date is coming up on May 10th, we're going to take this much out of your account. That gives you a heads up. You could call us and say, oh, wait a minute, I forgot I was on this, I sent a check in, don't take anything. And we can work with that. We can stop that. The nice thing about this, you will still get your tax bill, you still know what's going on with your property, you don't stand in line, you don't write a check, you don't mail anything in. The system simply takes care of itself year after year, and it will keep going. You don't have to sign up again. There's nothing you have to do with it except tell us when to stop. If you sell the property, please.
Sure.
We want to delete this out of there. Otherwise, it will keep going and it will keep pulling.
Okay.
So once I'm done with this, I just hit submit. I would log out, and I'm done.
You're done.
With spring, fall. I'm done.
Now, how about monthly?
Monthly pay plan. Okay, we're going to switch over, and I'm going to go to the monthly pay plan. Some new boxes have opened. What the monthly pay plan does is it takes the amount of taxes at this point of the year from last year, it divides them by the months we have remaining. We're already into January, so it's not going to use January or December.
Right.
It takes my tax amount, it divides it into equal monthly payments. Okay? Then you'll see that next year it's a little bit lower because it's taken into account the 2 months. It just continues also. Now, what if I need to change one of those? Because I just found out what my new amount is, my new taxes, and this was based on last year's taxes. I just highlight, and I can make that whatever it needs to be.
Okay.
and I can go through and I can change those.
And I noticed the period, you can also choose the date of payment.
Yes. It does not have to be the first of the month. I can choose all the way out to the 28th.
Okay.
You can say, well, wait a minute, Bill, taxes are due on the 10th. It is okay. It is valid for you to go out to the 28th if you're on a monthly pay plan and you've been paying your payments all along.
Okay.
Now, what I cannot do on a monthly pay plan, and I do want to emphasize this so people understand, is I cannot say, well, gee, I don't want to pay anything here. I'm going to do 0,000, and I'll pay
Catch up.
maybe down in November. No, you can't do that. That is not a valid plan.
Okay.
The plan has to be that my spring taxes are going to be paid, my fall taxes are going to be paid. If you don't want to do monthly, go to the spring fall.
Right.
And if that doesn't work for you, use single electronic payment.
Okay.
And again, I would save
Submit
my
your changes,
changes.
right.
I just hit submit and I'm done. I
Now-
log out, I'm done.
Do you get any kind of monthly reminder
Yes.
through the monthly plan?
Thank you. When, just like the spring fall payment, when the taxes are going to come out, as you see, I've got these set for the 28th, 10 days prior, an email is automatically going to generate and it's going to remind you every month that this is coming out. Will you still get a tax bill? Yes. Your tax bill will show the payments you made up to the point that we had to pull the tax file for printing.
Okay.
So if we pulled it on, I want to say March 10th, and you had a payment that came out the 28th, well, you might not see that payment because we had to pull the file for printing.
Sure.
But up to that point, your payments will reflect, you'll still get a tax bill, and you'll look at it and go, okay, that's great, and there's nothing you have to do. Again, one time a year, when we update the tax amounts, we do have to update this plan, and we're going to make a second video and we're going to get into that in some depth because there's a little bit of math involved. But basically what is happening is this tax amount is based on last year's taxes. Of course, taxes change each year. And now if my taxes went up a little or went down a little, I need to go in here and I need to adjust the rest of the months.
Sure.
And we'll talk about that some in depth. But that's the one time that you play with it, and we actually send you an email with step-by-step instructions how to do it.
Okay, that sounds pretty easy. Okay, Bill, talk to us. You mentioned a little bit about having to do a little math. Explain a little bit about what you were talking about.
Yes. When you're on the monthly pay plan, you will pay the same amount every month. Go right along, your taxes are paid, everything is good. November comes, and that is the end of the year for the pay plan. Okay, so I paid up. But December, it's going to pull the same amount it took in November. That is for the taxes for the next year. Well, what are those taxes based on? Do you know the amounts in December? We don't. So what we do, what the system does, is it bases that payment on last year's tax amount.
Right.
Okay, so I pay December, I pay January, February. Well, round about March or so, we know what the new taxes are. Let's say my taxes went up a little bit. I need to adjust my payments so that I'm not underpaid. I need to be on track. Or if my taxes went down, maybe an exemption kicked in, and now my tax has gone down. I don't want to pay more than I have to. No. So I need to go in and I need to lower my payments. So there's a little bit of math involved where I have to take what I paid, subtracted from what the taxes are, and divide by the remaining months so I know how much to pay. And then, because the division isn't always equal, that last month I may have to change a few pennies just so it all works out even.
Okay, but that's
I've logged into the tax sale program because I need to make an adjustment. I'm on the monthly pay plan. However, found out my taxes went up a little bit, and so I need to go in and I need to edit my payments. And I've already logged in. I'm at the dashboard, and now I'm going to edit payments. And I go in, and here's my property, and I just select Edit Payments. And here I am, I'm on the monthly pay plan, and I'm paying on the first of the month $87.94, but my taxes went up a little bit. And so I need to change these dollar amounts because they're no longer going to be correct. If I continue paying $87.94, I'm going to underpay my taxes. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to know how much I've paid already. In this instance, because I just joined the plan, I don't have any payments. I didn't send in any payments. So basically, I'm starting from zero. But if you had payments, you would want to subtract those from what the new tax amount is. And then you're going to divide by the remaining months. And in this case, I have 10 months that I need to divide by. And it just so happens my taxes are $900. Divide by 10. I need to make this $90 a month. Okay? So what do? Do I have to call in? Do I have to wait for somebody to do this? Nope. I have control. I just go in, I highlight the first amount, I put in $90, and I hit the tab key, and I'm ready to put in the next amount. And I can just put in 90. It'll be okay. And I continue like that for each month. Well, gee, Bill, how often do I have to do this? Once a year. Once we know what the new tax amounts are, you do a one-time adjustment. But wait a minute, the site is saying that I'm overpaying down here, and this is red, and I know that red is never a good thing. Well, the new tax amount hasn't been loaded in. When the site is updated and the $900 goes in, it will be perfectly even. You will be right on track. So I do that, and I would hit submit. That's the only change I have to make. Now, in our little example, we made it come out exactly even to $90. It's easy to demonstrate. Reality, you might have some change to deal with. Make sure when you're done that you add these payments up and that the pennies will work out right. Oftentimes, you'll wind up with a 3-cent surplus, or you'll be 2 pennies behind. Something like that. So you want to make the change work out right. And any one of the payments, if I had some pennies that I had to take care of, I could make this one, let's say $90.02, and it would take care of the pennies. And then we hit submit. We need to do that one time a year. If we just let the plan go, we're going to get ahead, we're going to get behind. And one more thing, if I can, very important to know, if you need to get off the monthly pay plan, let's say I sell the property. I don't own this property anymore. I want to end the payments. You want to delete payments. Simply setting this to 0 and zeroing out this year will not delete payments. What will happen is you'll pay nothing for the rest of the year, and I'll pay nothing for 12, pay 13. But when the system loads again, it will load the third year in, and it will recalculate your taxes. And assuming your account information is still good, it will begin again drawing payments. So simply zeroing out 2 years does not delete you from the plan. You really want to go down here. You would delete payments. Are you sure? I delete, and now you see no records found. It will not pull anything. The payments are done. I've closed it. It's over. That's as hard as it is. We would just log out.
Okay. But that's something people should be aware of. If they're going
yes, it's very important that they make that change because, again, you don't want to be underpaid because you don't want to get into a penalty situation, but you don't want to overpay either. Because then you have to do surplus and it kind of a process. And no, let's just keep it square.
Which probably by the spring, fall might be the best option of all of them.
For those who don't mind holding the money and don't mind that larger piece coming out twice a year, spring, fall is wonderful. I don't have to make that adjustment. It adjusts for me.
This seems awfully convenient and easy. Are residents using this? Are we seeing an increase in usage?
Absolutely. We have over 600 taxpayers that are using it right now. That represents well over 1,000 properties. Anyone who manages multiple properties, whether you're a business, whether you're residents, if you have multiple properties, this is the way to go. I can set up all my properties at one time. I can put in multiple properties. I know what my cash flow is every month. I don't have to be holding reserves. I don't have to dread May 10th or November 10th. I don't have to dread those days because it's taken care of. I don't have to mess with all the bills when they come in and write all the checks and figure it all out. It's taken care of for me.
Okay. Well, folks, check it out. Electronic payment of your taxes at www.allencountytreasurer.us, or you can go to the Allen County website and you can find the treasurer there as well. And if you have any questions about it, something we didn't explain that you need to know more about, you can contact Bill or Sue Orth, the treasurer, or anyone else here in the treasurer's office.
Call our main line. Anyone can walk you through it, help you with it. Yes.
Taxes aren't fun to pay, but it sure helps if it's a little easier. And that concludes another edition of County Line. I want to remind you, you can watch this program and previous editions of County Line through our online video on demand service, as well as the Allen County Info YouTube channel. Just go to www.allencounty.us and you'll find links to both of those locations. I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time on County Line.